What's up, everybody? This is the Pollard podcast. I am your host, Bernard Pollard. My co-host is Alex Pollard, my nephew. Yes, he is my nephew. There's two of us. Before we get this thing started, make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pollard podcast. Follow us on IG at Pollard2, Pollard the number 2 _ podcast, Twitter at Pollard _ podcast. Today, we're going to be short and sweet, but it's going to be good. It's going to be touchy. It's going to make some people mad. It's going to maybe challenge some people in a way. It's going to piss some people off, whatever it may be. It's fine. We can take it. You're probably going to side with Alex a little bit, but we can take it. Alex, are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. I think it'll be a more of a 50-50 split. And it'll be good. It'll be real good.
All right, that's cool. Well, Alex, I got to tell you, I mean, for everybody to follow me on Instagram, or on Instagram and on Twitter, there's no NASCAR, right? There's no races. Last weekend, this weekend, coming up, there's no races. So I've been on NASCAR a lot. I've been racing the iRacing Super Speedway. Now, Alex, I've been sending you video. You've been watching. For everybody to follow me on Twitter, you've been watching what I've been doing. I got my first P1 finish last week or whatever it was. It has been hell since. I've been getting wrecked out. I've been pissed off every single race, but it's addicting. It's literally addicting to be racing on this simulator. And it's funny because Al checked somebody on Twitter. Somebody said, you're getting mad over a game. And I'm looking like, it's not a game, though. And Al comes back and Al's like, it's a simulator. This is a simulation. Like this is real, right? And I back my dog, Al. That's my dog, right? Like, what do you look at this? Like, do you look at it as a game or as a simulator?
It's both. It is a game. It is a game because a simulation means that it's not real. It's a simulation of reality.
Okay.
Yes, it's not like just a game.
Yeah.
But he has a little bit of a point.
Right.
People just call it a different thing just because it can be taken a little bit more seriously. It's not like your everyday video game.
What?
You're the one in the car.
So I'm in my rig. I honestly think I'm in a car. I get pissed off when I get wrecked. I'm running third, I'm running second, I'm running fifth, I'm running sixth, I'm running seventh. And it seems like every time we get to 3 laps to go, 5 laps to go, 11 laps to go, somebody does something crazy and wrecks me out. Now, I did get checked the other day. I had to do check me because I've been getting run into. Like, people, they call it rubbing and all this other bull crap. But a guy comes up from behind as I'm in the car and he tries to get low and he ends up, I end up going up the track and everybody was just like, I was in the wrong. I caused the wreck. But like I told the guy, I'm like, dude, I've been getting wrecked out so much. I just had to go up the track because I didn't want to get hit. But I ended up causing a wreck, trying to dodge a wreck. And so that one was on me. And when you cause a wreck in here, I was the first to step up. I did talk a little noise at first. And then when I got back to the pits, I had to look at it. But the guy was just like, hey, Bernard, you talking a lot, man. You caused that wreck. And I was just like, dang, that was like kind of like one of those that humble pie. And I was like, you right. Like, I did cause it. And he was like, I'm not trying to argue. And I'm like, bro, you ain't gonna get no arguing from me. I was in the wrong. I will say I was in the wrong. And I apologize to the 10 car because I wrecked him. It wasn't bad, but I wrecked him. I caused a couple other people to wreck. And that's one of the worst feelings, to be able to sit in the pit. You got to sit for a 20-minute fix requirement and just sitting there the whole time because I don't want to quit out. This super speedway has literally destroyed my I rating. Like, my I rating was over 1,200, I believe it was 1,400, whatever it was, and I'm down to like, I think it's 721 if I'm not mistaken. Terrible. And I'm just like, this super speedway has taken it's the point snatcher, and man, it's been so frustrating. But once again, at the same time, it's been a load of fun because I'm just so competitive, and I want to win. I want to finish. I want to complete my races, and I want to do it without any incidents. And it's just like, if you go into this race thinking you're not going to, and for people who are not on iRacing, incidents are when you run into somebody or somebody running into you, or you hit the wall or whatever, or you go into the grass, you're going to get those incidents. So if you get up to like 17 or 18, I believe it is, it kicks you out of the race because they're like, yo, you're too high. We're kicking you out. But you want to keep those things at a zero because if you get a good finish, your points go up. And my points have been getting just snatched from me. Alex, as we talk about this, when are you going to get a wheel and pedals
I don't know.
PC?
I'm working on it. I've got the PC part set. My computer will run it. I've got that part set. I gotta wait until school gets going, see how the money's gonna go there, see if I'm gonna get paid for helping out this year. Last year didn't get paid. It was still all right. Like I'm gonna keep the job no matter what.
You need me to talk to them about paying you?
There's nothing you can do. It's
bro. What's my name?
It doesn't matter. You didn't even go to Florida State, so that still doesn't help.
Okay.
There's nothing you can do.
That's fair. I guess
we just need football to bring in some money.
Football's always bringing in money. Football brings in the most money for.
Yeah, but they brought in less money, so then
who brought in the most money?
Less people. Football. I'm saying they need to get their numbers back up.
Oh, you mean they were down?
I mean the school. Yeah, and the school lost out on some money because 2 years ago we were supposed to host part of the first round of the March Madness tournament, which was supposed to bring in like a lot of $1 million, and then it got
a lot of $1 million.
I don't even know. Like I don't even remember what the number was, but it was supposed to be like huge, and then it got canceled, and so we lost out on a lot there. And I think I had heard that there was like the school had done some spending before that because they were counting on that money, which I mean I don't fault them for that. COVID just kind of came out of nowhere.
It did.
But yeah,
okay.
They can't really control that.
All right. I mean, look, all I need you to do is say, Uncle, I need you to get here. And, bruh, we're going to get them to pay you. It's going to go down.
That's just not how it's going to work.
Okay.
If they pay me, there's 5 other managers they got to pay too.
All right. Well, you're going to get – we got to make sure you're the highest paid manager. That's what we got to do.
Well, I can't be that yet either. There's a guy that's been there for like 5 years.
All right, that's cool. That's what's up. All right, so
you're 3.
So guys, we've talked football. We've talked Deshaun Watson. We've talked Aaron Rodgers. They're both at camp. We're gonna be talking about divisional breakdowns here in the next week or so. That's going to happen. What we're gonna do today, talk a little bit about iRacing, but what we're gonna do today. We will go deep, right? We're going to talk about things that most won't say. People, it's not popular for people, but we're going to talk about Simone Biles. Her dropping out of the Olympics, the competition team, and then individuals. I'm coming from. I think it's fair for me to say I'm coming from a professional. My opinion is coming from a professional side, former professional side, I should say. And Alex is coming from, he's watched sports his whole life, and that side of it that just sees from a distance. And I don't want to disrespect that in any way. And once again, I don't want to disrespect. We're gonna be talking about mental health and things of that nature. I don't want to downplay. I don't want to disrespect the term in any way, shape, or form, but I want to talk from that former professional level. So, as we all know, this is going to get touchy, so it's okay. But Simone Biles dropped out of competition, the Olympics, the biggest show when it comes to gymnasts and swimmers, track. Soccer. This is the big.
Not soccer. But...
not so much soccer, but we see soccer and all these other sports being played 3-on-3. I don't know where that came from.
That shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
but...
I watched. I'm not even gonna go into that. Skateboarding once again. It's cool because these people they're able to get themselves out there and be seen and win a medal. But We watched Simone drop out. Now, I am not for it. And why am I not for it? I watch this. I don't. I'm going to say I disagree with the way that she dropped. I think she's damned if she do, she's damned if she don't. I think in this situation. And here I try to be that person where I see it from the former professional side or professional side, and I see it from the, this sounds bad, but the general population side. I don't like the way it happened. I think this was a situation with Simone where I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, Alex, with Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman he's I think a case where he did not or does not know how to deal with not being that guy. He's one of those people who he doesn't know how to deal with not having that locker room or being that sought after free agent. Now I look at Simone's case and I say, okay, I watched her in the Olympics. I think this is one of the first times we've seen Simone struggle. I think this is the first time we seen her face adversity in front of all of us, in front of the world, because this is what they do. She's been here before. I don't think she handled adversity well. I thought the failure in her routines or exercises, I thought she just did not do well. She's the best, one of the best to ever do it. I do agree with that. I do think her standards are high for herself. We as professional athletes, we criticize ourselves more than the outside can ever criticize us. We hold ourselves to a certain standard. But I think her backing out was not a good example. I just see it that way. I don't like the way I think it could have been handled differently. And while I understand especially with gymnasts, we all understand, and I watched one of the documentaries, my wife and the kids, we were all watching all the stuff that the girls gymnasts were going through at the camps and everything else, the way they fall and the things that they do, the things that they're putting their bodies through, what the parents are giving up to make sure these girls get an opportunity to be able to compete in the Olympics. It is hard work. It's hard work. It's hell. It is. It's hell. But once again, as I've told so many people that I've talked to, me and Alex yesterday, me, you, Lily, Meredith, my sister-in-law, my niece, we all talked, my brother-in-law, we debated, me and my brother-in-law argued over text about this. And I just look at it and I say, this is her job. This is Simone's job. A gymnast. That's her title. I just don't agree how it went down. But once again, I think so much has gone into this. I just don't agree with how it went down. And I'll try to go deeper as Alex is going to come in and speak his piece, but I don't agree with it.
So I guess my first thing is, you didn't say like that yesterday. So you're saying you don't agree with how it went down. So you're not saying that you necessarily disagree that she pulled out.
So
because you worded it different yesterday by basically just saying that she shouldn't have taken her spot in the first place.
So how I looked at this, so when I come back and say she's damned if she do, she damned if she don't. Exactly. She released a post on Instagram, I believe it was. And she said she feels like the weight of the world is on her shoulders. And this, I believe, was before the Olympics started. So if me, as a professional athlete, looking at this, those are red flags. If I got a teammate, we're going into the week of the preparation throughout the week. We're about to get ready to play the Indianapolis Colts. And we get there when Peyton Manning was playing for the Indianapolis Colts. And on Thursday or Friday, my teammate comes out and goes, I just feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. I feel like I'm not going to perform well. I feel like I'm not, I just feel like this is just hard. I'm looking at him like, yo, bro, I'm going to my D coordinator. We're going to have a team meeting. Hey, wait a minute. You either in this thing or you not. But I think because she's so great, I don't want to say was forced to compete, but I believe she was hard pressed.
Yeah.
And
well, see, and that's why, and I would agree with that, and especially if you just kind of look at like the history of women's gymnastics, like that kind of thing has happened, and that's why I agree with her backing out, because I believe that she most likely was forced to compete. But then when she goes, and my whole thing is I'm gonna believe her because she's the best gymnast ever. So if she says that, she was midair and she had the twisties, they call it, which is like the yips for gymnastics, like she's kind of lost herself and she didn't complete the routine, and like so she wasn't mentally there. I'm gonna take her word for that. And there's other gymnastics that have said like they saw it when she was doing it. Like there was like that hesitation midair, she didn't get it, and I mean she was still good enough to actually land it. So I mean I think that she knew that she wasn't mentally there in that moment, and with her being most likely forced to compete in the first place, having doubt coming in, it is better for her to take herself out rather than being forced to compete even more and have that win at all costs, which is okay in some sports. But I think especially with gymnastics and just like looking at the history of it and looking at how dangerous it can be, if she wasn't as good as she was and she was half a rotation off, she's landing on her head and not her feet. So I mean, like to me, you definitely have to take in how dangerous gymnastics can be in her decision.
But I still have to look at it and I have to say, this is her job. It's her job.
Yes,
this
right.
is what
there's no reason. Okay, but and see, I've seen other arguments. You've kind of said it, not to this extreme, but yes, it is her job. Her job is a lot more dangerous than a lot of other jobs. If it's not done right,
who made her pick it?
If it's not done in the right mindset.
Who made her pick this job?
Okay, but something mental can change just like that. That can just happen, and we see that. I mean, there is a lot of pressure on her. Maybe she wasn't even forced. Maybe she chose to compete. She thought she could handle it. I mean, because she hasn't had to deal with this before. She's had to deal with pressure before, but she's never had something that she's backed out of because there's too much pressure. So who's to say that she didn't think it was going to be that bad, and then it was.
But when we look at this, Alex, at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning. I think Simone has been so great for so long. She's not who she was when she's 6 years. She's no longer 16.
Yeah, she said that.
Correct.
But if you look at even just in the last year, she earned her spot on the team. She's been the best gymnast in the world.
I believe
so. Yes, age was in her head. Her body wasn't exactly the same. But it's not like her body had been failing her before right now. Like, yes, that may have been in her head.
But once again,
I mean, still, even to me, that still isn't enough. I believe that everyone, no matter what your job is, whether you're in that 1% of professional athletes, and with that, I mean, she's in the 1% of the 1%. I mean, she's up there with Michael Phelps as two of the greatest Olympians ever. That's like above the next level.
But that's her
to me, everybody
job.
Yes, but everybody should have the right to choose whether they, I don't know how to word this because it's different with gymnastics,
Right.
but it's her safety on the line. It's her safety. Yes, it's her job, but yes, it's also her safety.
But
So she shouldn't be forced to perform something that she knows with how she is currently could seriously injure her. It could end her career. It could end her life if she lands wrong.
but
Like it's
I would
she's not she's if she's saying she's not in the condition to perform how she needs to perform to even just stay safe. I'm not even saying perform well, win a
right.
gold, win a medal. I'm saying just to stay safe, just because of the sport that she competes in. She shouldn't have to put her life on the line if she doesn't want to.
Okay.
She's not a first responder. She's not running into a fire or getting into a shootout.
But I
Because firefighters and policemen are
but
expected to do that. But
right.
with sports, to me with sports, not forget all the other jobs. With sports, you shouldn't have to put your life on the line if you don't feel fit.
So
If you can't
I don't
protect yourself. I mean, like referees don't allow people to kill each other in MMA. The referees are in there yelling at them to protect yourself. This,
okay.
that. If they're not, fight's over. It's done. Like because those guys they're capable of killing somebody.
Correct.
They
100%.
could easily kill somebody in the ring, but they're not. That's never going to happen. They're not going to let that happen
Right.
because those people are protecting her. This is her way of protecting herself. Especially if she was forced to compete, then her taking herself out is the only way that she was going to be protected.
But then
Because
I
who's
look
to
at
say
okay,
who's
so
to
I
say
look
the
at
coach
this.
wasn't just going to force her to keep going?
I look
Because
at this.
I know the coach saw her bail out of
I
that.
look at this. It doesn't matter. So with her bailing out, she is great enough to catch herself like she did, correct?
Yes.
She caught herself. But once again, all I'm going to say is I'm not asking Simone Biles or any other athlete to go out there and kill themselves. I'm not saying that. But what I am going to say is it was an off day, and because we couldn't face adversity smack dab in the face, now all of a sudden what we're doing is quitting. That example,
And see, it's
that example.
it's not quitting. I mean, she's protecting herself.
Okay,
That's
okay,
she
so
like. I mean, neither of us know anything about gymnastics,
not
but
one, not
I'm
one
gonna
bit.
I'm gonna sit here and say that I am smart enough to know that if you're not 100% there mentally, you're going to hurt yourself. She happened to be good enough to catch herself, but then even that takes us to the second half of her reasoning: is she didn't want to hurt the team, so she goes out there and does some I don't want to call it lame because none of it's lame. I mean,
Right,
it's all impressive,
right.
but like some basic moves that isn't going to help the team win. That's everybody's going to get mad at her for that too.
But could she not
So I mean,
lessen her
there
routine
was
to
no
get her back on track?
okay. So that brings me to this. Yes, she backed out of it, and this just kind of goes at how the events fall. Say that happened with individuals first, then maybe she has the team event later. She hasn't backed out of the individual events. So I mean, maybe she is going to just give herself time, work on some things, maybe loosen up some routines, and still go out in the individual events. Which technically, that still isn't even giving up on her team because as a whole, the U.S. is an Olympic team
Right.
where the U.S. is competing to get the most medals. And that's one thing that really gets me is when people are like, "Oh, she let down her country, this and that." Like, stop. That's that's just stupid
Well,
to me.
I come from this.
That
Well, I come from this angle. I don't care about the medals. I really don't. I don't care about the medals. I look at the response from so many people, and from me as a professional athlete who's been a part of the less than 1%. I don't watch film the same like a regular person will watch. I look for specific things that gives me an advantage over, since I was a defensive player, the offense. So I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the entire play call. I'm looking at the entire setup. I'm looking at all of that stuff. So being a part of the less than 1%, what separates that 1 from the 99 is consistency. Getting over different things, facing adversity, being able to get over humps, because the 99% is talented. The 99% is talented. I've seen a lot of talented athletes, but what separates the talented athlete from the other talented athletes is consistency. How
Okay, so
consistent can this player be?
okay, well,
So when I look at this, now I'm saying, for everybody who's yelling, "Oh, I'm for her backing out. I'm okay with her giving up. She's okay. She deserves that. She earned that right to be able to quit, because the other girls, they aren't good enough anyway. She's the best. We all know she's the best. She's going to go down as one of the best to ever do it. But once again, just like she can get hurt, just like she can go through the twisties, just like she can break her neck, those other girls can do the same thing.
and they can
They
back out too.
they can
And they're
back
not
out,
and
but at the same
they're not gonna
time,
get the
this
same
is the angle I
backlash
come
that
from.
she's getting.
So this is what I'm trying to say. So as a professional athlete, somebody who's saying, you know what, I'm not going to let you talk me into going into whatever. I'm not going to let you force me or whatever. This could have been an opportunity for another young woman, another teenager, another 20-year-old, another 24. I don't care. I don't know. But this could have been an opportunity for them. And they could not have been as good as Simone. But as we know, certain people step up when the lights turn on. So they might not have shown at camp that they was better than Simone or the other girls. But when the lights came on for the Olympic games and everything else happened, we could have found a star. We don't know. We don't know. Do they have alternates? Yeah. But at the same time, that's still somebody that was left out. That's what I look at. So at the end of the day, like, yes, Simone is the best. Yes. Is it that, the weight of the world is on her shoulders? I mean, I can't say yes or no for her. It probably is. But at the end of the day, what is her occupation? She has accepted every award. Named exercise routines have been named after her. GOAT has been stitched in her uniform. All of this stuff. But then now when it's time for us to face adversity as the less than 1%, we back out. And I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. That's where it's hard for me to understand, because all the terms of face adversity, you're gonna get knocked down, get back up. All these other terms, what does that mean now? That means nothing. We need to accept quit from everybody then. From the general population, our standards for the less than 1%, for the athlete or the role model, whatever it may be, our standards have dropped. Our standards does not need to drop. Simone Biles, I don't know what the pay is for the Olympics or whatever. I doubt it's a lot. I really do. I doubt it's a lot. But those endorsements, I don't think she's giving back any checks for anybody. I really don't. And I'm not trying to be in her pockets or anything else like that. But at the end of the day, we accept that label of being the GOAT, of being the best. But then now when it's time for us to face that and show it and display it, all of a sudden we just created a new standard and said, no. I fell back. I fell forward. I'm not there. Now, I just don't. I don't agree. I really don't. I don't agree with it. And then two, and you can say something after this. I watched it. The Jordan Childs. I believe it's Jordan Childs, when she did her routine, when she stepped up and did her routine, when she finished, she threw her hands in the air, told the crowd to raise her hands, get up, yeah, let's go. When she came back, she slapped her coach on the hands. She goes, now that's for the team. That right there to me was a shot at Simone. I'm just being honest with you. And everybody can say, well, Jordan Childs wasn't, she ain't Simone. No, she ain't Simone. But at the end of the day, she a part of that doggone team. And she can break her neck. As I said before, she can break her neck just like Simone can break her neck. Any football player, anybody at any sport can do something that can be life and death. It can be, you can be paralyzed, you can be whatever. Those things can happen. There's safety issues in everything that we do. Race car, NASCAR drivers get in an accident and either pass away or be badly hurt. This is the job that we chose. We have to know what's going on. We signed up for it. I don't think anybody put a gun to anybody's head and said, sign this. This is what you're going to do. Because once again, I said the same thing to all of my teammates. Any one of my teammates. And I will say this in the media. I will say this to their face. You respect this game. You respect what we doing. Because at the end of the day, if you walk off, you ain't giving back a check. When those checks was deposited in your account, you know what? You made sure you accepted it. If the check was given to you every 2 weeks or whatever it was, you got that check out of the envelope and you deposited it. If we can accept all of the accolades and everything else that comes with being a part of that less than 1%, we need to go out there and show up and show out. A lot of people, she's not an entertainer. Yes, the hell she is an entertainer. She is an entertainer. I was an entertainer. When you are on a field, a court, a whatever, when you have people watching on television and you are there entertaining. Is that all that you are? No. But you are an entertainer. When I filed taxes, guess what my taxes said? Entertainer. I filed taxes as an entertainer. We need to understand that. So many people get pissed off about that. Oh, I'm not no entertainer. I'm not no entertainer. Yes, you are. Is that all it is? No. You're more than an entertainer. You are a human being. I understand she's a human being. She's going to go through all kind of stuff. I get it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. But at the end of the day, that's her job. That's her job.
And I'm not saying you're wrong, but you just said it right there. She is an entertainer and she's a human being. The only difference here is she's saying that she is not mentally fit to keep herself safe and entertain. And there is no reason that she should put her life on the line to entertain just because it's different. Yes, I'm not disagreeing that there's safety issues in every sport. You can get hurt seriously in every sport. But the reason she's not going out is I'm still taking her word for it, because to me, if you're on the other side of this argument, you're not taking her word for it. To me, the other side is you're looking at it like she's just performing bad and she doesn't want to go out there and do that. She doesn't want to look bad because everybody's calling her the GOAT. She's calling herself the GOAT. I'm taking her word for it and saying that she's not mentally fit to compete, to perform, to entertain. And to me, nobody, whether you're an entertainer or whether you're a regular person, should have to go out and perform something not at 100%, not being able to protect yourself, not being able to be safe. And it's still different with gymnastics. That's why, like, you can't even really compare this to other things.
How?
Because because she's saying that there's other people saying this too. She got the twisties. She lost herself midair. It happens. That's like the yips. That's like a golfer not being able to putt. That's there's all kinds of other things. It's like somebody
field goals.
Exactly. But this is different. That kicker isn't out there flipping 15 feet in the air and trying to land on their feet and not on their head.
Right.
There's a huge difference there. This is, to me, solely about her safety. She's keeping herself safe. She shouldn't be forced to go out there. And again, like you said, like we talked about earlier, it is definitely possible that she was forced to go to the Olympics. Maybe not 100%, but there was a strong urge where she would lose something would be, something either something bad would happen or something wouldn't happen for her if she didn't go to the Olympics.
Mhm.
That is possible. And now this is her. Maybe then she still thought she could compete because she still had that doubt. We talked about that yesterday.
Right.
You said she doubted it before she even came in. Maybe she thought she could handle it. Now this is her taking that step up and saying, "No, now I'm taking myself out. I'm not going to put myself at risk just to entertain."
Right. Well,
I mean, and it's to me, it still doesn't matter. Like, I don't care if it's her occupation. If it's her occupation and she is 100% fit and she's just performing bad, yes, she should still go out there and take the loss. You don't just quit in the third quarter because you're losing by 30 points. You got to finish the game.
well,
But she's
according,
in gymnastics. But
according to what you're saying,
but you can't
she
compare it.
performed
It's different.
bad.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. No, I'm not saying that she performed bad. I'm the twisties. That's mental. That's not just performing bad. That's something mental. She lost herself midair. That's that's putting
Did
her
she fall
safety
on her
on the line.
neck? Did she fall on her neck?
No,
She's
but
good
that's
enough to regain herself and hit her feet and then stumble because that's what we watch, correct?
yes. But
She's
so
a
that so then
part
you
of the less than
okay
1% that
okay.
can
So then
get that done.
you want okay, but you want her to go out there and do that again. That's luck. That's a mixture of luck and skill right there. Yes, she's that good to land that. However, she lost herself midair. She's been doing this for I don't know how many years. She's the best gymnast in the world, and she lost herself midair. That's mental. That's not skill. That's not a bad
She,
performance. We don't see that out of her.
uh,
That is mental. And there's other gymnasts that watched it. They watched it live. They watched clips of it. They're saying yes, that is what happened. She lost herself midair. To me, she should not be forced to go out there and compete in that mental state.
okay. So now, when we, I know for most sports, we, like you said, we don't know. I was in gymnastics when I was younger. I was in ballet when I was younger. Um, that's where all my flexibility and everything else came from. Now I look at this. Now I didn't say all of that to say I was a gymnast. I'm not a gymnast. I play football for a living. When things are going bad for any athlete, you have a always have a plan to get back on track. Now I say that in football, if all hell was breaking loose for us as a defense, we're playing against the offense. If all hell's breaking loose, I know one thing. Every team that I played on, I know when I went to Houston, Baltimore, and Kansas City, we did, but we didn't. But Houston, Baltimore, and Tennessee. When I got to Tennessee, this one thing that I told our defensive coordinator, I told our players, if all hell is breaking loose in the game, and we just can't seem to find our rhythm, we have to have a go-to to get us back on track. Whether it's a lot of guys having MEs or MEs missed error or missed errors and missed assignments. If it's guys having missed assignments, missed errors, and we're just messing up, we can't adjust to certain things. We got to have a go-to, a fallback, something that we can, a call that we can go to that puts us back in rhythm and allows us to just calm down and get back to playing.
What's
Now,
to say she's not doing that right now? And
so
that's why she backed out of the team event. She didn't back all the way out. She's still there representing the US.
okay,
What's to say she isn't trying to do exactly what you're saying right now by backing out of the competition where she could hurt the team by falling back on something easier, something to get back in rhythm, something to to establish yourself again.
okay. So I said that to say, we had those calls. Now I'm asking or I'm questioning if Simone couldn't have changed the routine. I don't know how many routines they go in with and all this. I don't know all of that stuff. I don't think most people know all of that unless you're a gymnast or a coach of a gymnast. As far as changing or adjusting routines where it shows her just certain skills where she ain't gotta flip and be up in the air and twisting all around.
Well, okay, what's to say that wasn't one of those skills? That it's just like riding a bike for her.
We don't.
And then all of a sudden you just forgot how to ride the bike and you fall in the middle of the road.
Hey,
we don't know that. So exactly. So why should she? And yes, there's a lot of question marks here because we don't know stuff like that.
Right.
But why should she be forced to go do that again? Like let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say that that's one of those just riding a bike type of moves. She's just going out there getting started, warming up for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And then that happens. Why does she have to go back out there and do something that has to be harder than that? Because if that's the easiest for her, if that's the basics, why does she have to go back out there and perform something harder where she almost hurt herself doing something that easy?
But you're saying that she's going to go perform something harder. I'm saying go perform something that can get you back on track to get your psyche and everything else building confidence in yourself. You're going to harder.
What's to say she isn't doing that now? Yes, obviously she can go easier, but again, she's also at the Olympics right now.
Right.
So I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you can't just go out there and perform some basic routine to start getting yourself back in the Olympics.
Right, but then quitting.
And again,
in the Olympics.
And again, if you go look at the history of the sport, I don't think these gymnast coaches are going to let you do that. And to me, this still looks like it somewhat has to do with the history of the sport. I don't know anything about the coach right now, but there have been some bad coaches in the past that have run these girls' lives in bad ways. So she's taking this decision out of the coach's hands. She's not letting the coach control her because maybe the coach would have forced her to go out there and compete. Maybe the coach would have kicked her off the team if she went out there and did something different, something basic, something.
You can't kick Simone off the team.
Exactly. So then you're gonna keep forcing her.
Right.
That's exactly. It's Simone Biles. So you're not kicking Simone Biles off the team. So in this situation, it's either she's being forced to compete, knowing she's in that mental state, knowing she just went through the twisties in her first event, or she can give herself some time to recoup, to get ready for the individual events, still represent her country. And I don't care about the medals and all that, but that's still kind of part of the argument. That gives her valid reason to take the path that she's taken. Okay. And I don't think there's any reason to not give the best gymnast in the world, probably the best gymnast ever, the benefit of the doubt in this situation. To me, there's no reason to try to downplay everything and say just right off the bat she's in the wrong, and it's worst case scenario she's just a quitter and she's performing bad.
Well,
like I think with a lot of parts of this, you have to give her, the benefit of the doubt.
I understand.
Because of who she is.
I understand what you're saying as far as giving her the benefit of the doubt, right? But I also got to look at it from, once again, I was not a gymnast. I was a professional football player.
Exactly.
I have gone through, I have watched kickers. I myself have had to get over slumps of adjusting to certain things, and you gotta. It's mind over matter. It's mind over matter. Get through it. I think the people in the general population, getting up is a struggle. Get up, get out the bed. Let's get this day going. Go in, clock in. We got 12-hour shift. Go attack it. Do it every day, all day. Let's go. We have got to mentally prepare ourselves for whatever we're doing.
It's still different though. It,
I
it
get it's different.
it's the safety. I mean,
I
that's like going out on
understand
the
it's
football
different.
field and forgetting how to tackle, and you're dropping your head in front of a dude.
I could break my
First
neck or
time,
die.
exactly. So if you do that in practice, you get knocked out. What's that going to do to you?
What
You
do you
gonna go out
mean?
there and play? You gonna go out there and play on Sunday? No.
Oh yeah.
Uh, if you get knocked out in practice,
Yes,
well, no.
sir.
Nowadays you're going through the concussion protocol.
Well, obviously nowadays, I mean, concussion protocol. Yeah, you'll go
And
through
let's say,
concussion
and let's say,
protocol. It's a lot of
exactly. Okay,
guys
but
that should be in
but
concussion
still, but
protocol. That's
still,
not in concussion protocol.
that's fair. That yeah, that's besides the point. Okay, but okay, this is the twisties. It's like the yips. This is something that is not a one time thing. It's neurological, it's psychological. Like there's studies on it. So let's say you're going through a week of practice, and that happens to you 4 or 5 times, and then you're gonna go out there and do it against another team that they're not even your teammates.
Once again, if you're doing it like that all the time, you're not going to be a part of that less than 1%. Because consistency. If you can't be consistent, you can't be there. So you fall
Exactly. Okay.
under
Okay.
the
And so
99%.
but that's what brings me back to this. Yes, you're in that 1%. Simone Biles is in that 1% of the 1%. You can't kick her off the team.
You can't.
That's as a coach, your career's over if you kick Simone Biles off the team. You're done. The coach can't do that. So the only thing the coach can do is to force her to continue to compete. So she took it in her hands to take herself out.
I believe
That's where she has that ability. As a football player, yeah, if something like that's happening to you, the coach isn't going to play you. That's just not going to happen.
right.
I don't care if you're Tom Brady. That's even still different because
Drew Brees was
she's
hurting his
on
team. They didn't bench him, but I mean that's okay.
she's on no, but I'm saying this is something different. This is forgetting how to do something that is easy for you.
Drew Brees couldn't throw 20 yards, and he lost the Saints a game, and they had a capable backup that they didn't.
Okay,
put in.
that's not. I don't care if he can throw 20. No, that's if Drew Brees forgets how to throw a football.
I mean, he couldn't throw past 20 yards.
That's if you're going to tackle a guy and your body is just like going limp. You forget how to tackle a guy. You're consistently getting run over. Like it's different. I don't even want to keep using the football comparisons because it's not comparable in my eyes. It's a completely different sport. There's completely different risks and dangers and ways to hurt yourself. It requires a different level. To me, it probably requires a different level of mental capacity. It's not the same. So yes, we keep comparing it, trying to compare it to football, but you can't.
But is it her job?
It's different.
Is it her job?
And we just keep repeating ourselves. I'm going to go back and say, yes, it's her job. However, she knows that she's not mentally fit to compete, to entertain, to perform in a safe way. A safe way. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt and saying that she's just not performing bad because we rarely ever see that.
Right.
I can think of that one clip that you thought was this year, but it was old. That's the only clip I've ever seen. And there's probably other ones.
Backwards.
But that's the only one I've ever seen of her mess up. And I've seen a reasonable amount. I follow sports.
But what?
It doesn't happen.
Right. Correct. So this goes back to what I was saying.
But okay. But see, this is the biggest thing for me. I don't care if she's part of the 1%. She's part of the 100% of the human population. Correct. She shouldn't be forced. If she knows that she cannot protect herself, even if it's not 100%, even if she knows that there's a very good chance that she cannot protect herself. And by protect herself in gymnastics, I mean perform the move right. Because basically, if you perform the move not right enough, you're going to hurt yourself.
Anything can happen at any time.
Yes, but this is different. Yes, anything can happen at any time. But this is mental. This is her mental health.
It's always mental.
She lost herself. Yes, it's always mental. But right now she's going through something where she can't. She's not being able to mentally be there. She's not being able to lock in.
So
So
not being able to lock in,
why should she be
her,
forced?
her not being able to lock in, do you associate that with mental health?
Yes.
Her not being able to okay, so I guess
That's 100%. Not being able to lock in is 100% mental. And
okay, so
if there's anything going on mentally, I see that as relating to your overall health.
right.
Like health and mental health shouldn't be separate.
Okay,
They're all under the same thing.
Let me put it this way. Once again, for as I tell players all the time, after you leave high school, it's no longer fun. Would you agree? After you leave high school, it's no longer fun.
Okay, real quick, right there. This is another thing that I wrote down. I didn't know if I was gonna bring it up or not. This is the Olympics. Now, I don't know how in the world professional gymnastics works, but this is a worldwide sporting event. This is not Tom Brady competing under his contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is not. Yes, this is her job. However, she's not under this isn't. I don't know how to word it because I don't know how gymnastics works. But she said it. She even said it herself. We should be going out here to have fun. The Olympics, yes, they're going out there to compete and prove that they're the best in the world. However, there are world championships in nearly every sport every single year. The Olympics happens once every 4 years. It gets the entire world together to compete.
Right.
And they should be out there having fun. And I think a lot of Olympic athletes will agree with that. I'm not 100% sure, but this is just part of my argument. I think with the Olympics, it's different than your NFL season. I think with the Olympics, they are out there competing and they should be having fun.
Is it not competition? Is it not competition?
Yes, it's competition.
Okay.
But I mean, and when you have somebody like Michael Phelps, who is arguably the greatest Olympian ever, agreeing with you, I think that says a lot about what you're saying. And
but
I'm just using one guy. Obviously, there's other people.
Right. There's a lot of people that will jump. There's a lot of people that will jump on that and be like,
with the level
it's her
of
mental
athlete,
health. At the end of the day, I want Simone and any athlete to be mentally stable to be able to do whatever you're doing. And
but
to
she's
be sound
not.
when you're done doing what you're doing, you're good. Right? I want that for everybody.
But if she's not.
But what all I'm saying is when we look at this, when we step out and say, as Simone said, this should be fun. Competition is no longer, competition sometimes can be fun. When you running away and everything going good, oh yeah, that's fun. Why? Because we beating the piss out of these jokers, right? That's fun. But when it's gritty, and everybody's looking at you and you don't have those big names that's on your team that can continue to do whatever and y'all going and separating every time they go, when the next person go, when all eyes are on you and it's time for you to step up and show out when you're supposed to, you got to show up and show out. I'm sorry. Fun. Yes, it's fun when you dogging somebody out. That's fun. But when you in a dog fight and that thing neck and neck, ain't nothing fun about that. It becomes the smallest mistakes can mess it up. And that's what we watched. The smallest things got her falling forward, got her coming off the floor.
How can you call that a mistake? How can you call something going on mentally a mistake?
We're talking about performance.
That's out of her.
But she made mistakes in her performance.
All she did was the vault. You're still going back to that other one.
If we look at the floor,
Just look at her vault. All she did was the vault.
when she was qualifying on the floor, she went
I
off
don't care
of
about
the
that.
mat.
She didn't back out then.
She didn't. Correct. She didn't. But once again, now
Okay,
she took that to the vault, and she stumbled forward on the vault.
Okay, so how does your argument stand? Because I know you said yesterday, you said then don't take the spot in the first place. Don't go to the Olympics if you have these doubts. If you're going,
she wasn't 100% committed for the team, if she wasn't committed to the team, whether or not they were trying to force her to do whatever, she should have took a stand and say, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm not going to do it. Let somebody else go.
Okay, but if you look at the history of the sport and what we've talked about, your argument holds nothing if she was forced to go, which we've both said is a possibility.
I believe. I don't want to say. I believe
your argument
hard pressed her.
Holds no water, even if she was hard pressed to go.
Right.
And in that event where she fell off the mat, and it wasn't a fall, it was a jump off the mat.
Well, I didn't say she fell on the ground.
No, I know. I'm just clarifying. I'm just clarifying. She didn't hurt herself. She finished the routine. Everything ended up okay. So mentally, why would that not give her validation that everything will be okay in the near future? In the next couple of weeks. Yeah, I should be able to just straighten that out.
Once again, I look at this situation.
Like we can't know what goes on in her head.
Right. Of course, we don't know what's going on in her head. We're looking at performance. Football, performance-based business, being in the NFL, what are you doing for me? If you're not performing well, you're not going to be here. If you stay consistent,
gymnastics
you keep
is completely different from football. The Olympics is completely different from any sporting organization.
That's her job.
Okay, but I'm still going to go back to this. How does your argument hold any water if she was forced to go? If she was forced to compete in the first place?
So out of all of this,
there's nothing.
I believe she was hard. They put full court press on her and was just like, we need you to perform. We don't have big names. We got a couple new people that's coming in. I do believe that may have taken place. We're not 100% sure that we don't know.
The weight of the world is on my shoulders.
But
probably around the same time right there.
But once again, she could have said no. She could have said no.
Okay, what would have told her to say no in that situation though? When has she dealt with this before? She hasn't. There's no way for her to know that this was going to be the result. She can't see into the future.
She can't see in the future. But once again, as I said at the beginning of the show, Simone Biles have never really failed. Now Simone Biles is seeing that adversity at the Olympics in front of the whole world and other countries.
It's not failing. It's not a mistake. Yes, but it's not failing. It's not a mistake. It's mental. That's completely different.
So
that's like going back to football. That's like dropping an interception versus having a bunch of missed assignments.
That's
something going on in your head.
Missed assignments, dropping interceptions. It's mental. If my mind center saying open my hands,
maybe if you're
hands open, that's a mental. That's a mental error.
That's still not. Maybe if you're dropping interceptions the whole season, like you're Jamal Adams. Yeah,
I dropped 17 my rookie year.
That's pretty bad. That's
exactly
mental.
Real bad.
No hands, but I mean, even then, that was still a bad comparison because most DBs can't catch. But that still, she didn't slip up. She didn't have a mistake. It was mental.
Alex,
if you have professionals in this sport. If you have the best professional in the sport who was the one in the act saying that she had the twisties mid-air, how can you possibly say that that's a mistake and that's on her, and that she's performing badly and she quit because of that? You can't, and we don't, especially because we don't know anything about gymnastics.
Right.
So we have to take the word of the professionals who are saying that it was a mental thing that happened.
Okay.
And that's what goes back to, you can't separate mental health from health.
Right.
That's all grouped together. So you can't morally just throw somebody's health out the window.
So I don't want to hear.
She has
Okay.
every
So
right.
I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear overcome adversity. I don't want to hear mind over
That's
matter.
different. That's different.
I don't want to hear you gonna fall down but get back up. I want to hear when you fall down, stay down.
That's not the same. We're talking about this right here, and that's where people are going wrong. In gymnastics, it's called the twisties. In a lot of other sports, people call it the yips. In gymnastics, she's in a lot more danger if she's still having twisties 15 feet in the air than Tiger Woods is of losing $100,000 because he missed a couple putts.
Okay.
You can't throw her safety out the window, and that having the yips, having the twisty, it's not the same as your mind over matter or get back up if you fall down. That's or just performing bad. If it's not something that is mentally happening to you where you're forgetting how to perform what you need to do, if you can't stay mentally there to keep yourself safe and perform how you need to perform, that is completely different.
Okay. But
I mean, like I'll pull up the Google page right now and read through the Google definition of the yips, because Google doesn't even call it like some people think it's more of like a I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but I looked it up earlier, and Google's saying like it's like a neurological. I don't remember any of the other words actually, but regardless, it's neurological. It's not just performing bad. It's I don't want to call it a condition,
right.
but in a sense, it is. It's a neurological condition, so to say, that you're going through, and you can't just immediately snap out of it. And yes, it takes a little bit of time, but in her situation, to me, that's why she hasn't backed out all the way. To me, I think she might compete in a couple of those individual events after she's figured some things out. But she needed to take that time to figure some things out. You can't just keep pushing her to perform things that she knows that she probably can't perform right now.
Right. Okay.
And they're not things that she just needs to perform, like shooting a basketball. They're things that she needs to perform where if she doesn't perform them right, she's going to hurt herself. Most likely. Yes, she was good.
Just like the other
She,
athletes there, correct?
she was good enough and lucky enough to catch herself.
That's her profession.
And the only reason this is even a debate right now is because of all the press around her coming into the Olympics. She's the best gymnast in the world. She was expected to come out of this Olympics with 5 gold medals. She's calling herself the GOAT. Everybody else is calling herself the GOAT. She's got clothes with the GOAT on it. That's why we're hearing about it. I just said this yesterday, and no disrespect to any of the other Olympians that are out there, but if somebody on the Australian women's basketball team had this happen to her, we wouldn't be hearing about it. We wouldn't be hearing about it. Or you brought up the actually it might have been my mom that brought it up, but we talked about it. That women's team that didn't wear the bikinis in whatever event.
Oh yeah.
The ruling wasn't changed. That
It
went
wasn't.
away pretty quick. People aren't still talking about that. It's because Simone Biles is Simone Biles. This wouldn't be an issue if we were talking about anybody else, but people are holding her to a different standard, and she's still part of the 100% of everybody,
Right.
and she shouldn't have to put herself at that risk. If 99% of the other Olympians there were put in the same situation and they backed out because of keep everything the same, they're just not Simone Biles. We're not hearing about it.
All right. I hear you. I hear you. Now, y'all heard us debate. You heard us argue. You heard us talk. You heard us try to figure this thing out. What y'all got to say? Hit us up. Hit us up on YouTube, IG, Twitter. Tell us what you think. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Y'all make sure y'all tune in next week. Peace out.